Our next talented speaker is Lara Assouad. Lara Assouad is a graphic and type designer with a particular interest in the relationship between Arabic and Latin scripts and multicultural identities. She has a bachelor's in graphic design from the American University of Beirut and a research MA in Arabic script and type design from the Atelier National de Recherche Typographique in Nancy, France. Lara was the creative director of design for Apple in the Middle East for the past 6 years and was one of the selected artists for the Jamil Prize in 2016 for her modular Arabic typography project. In 2019, she had her first solo exhibition, Alphabets, in Grey Noise Gallery, Dubai, an exploration of the physicality and symbolism of the Arabic alphabet, its modularity and rhythm beyond its function as a language and cultural signifier. Let's have a warm welcome for Lara Assouad!
Hi everyone, I guess now is the time I should be talking. I've been rehearsing Excuse My Arabic for maybe a whole month. So if I make mistakes, excuse my French, Arabic, something. Last time I was standing here was almost 25 years ago, presenting my final year project. So that was probably, I think the guilty one who took that photo is sitting right here. Yeah, that was probably even more than 25 years ago. That was maybe 26 or 27. There we go. So why Excuse My Arabic and what do I want to talk to you about? What are these made up words? So I've always been a bit of a, the least plausible candidate for to be an Arabic type designer. And I will explain to you why. And this is my story of how I, adapted Arabic to me and me to Arabic, and my relationship to Arabic over the years in 4 acts. So Act 1 is a little short story. Take you back all the way to when I was 1.5 years. I was born in Canada, in Montreal, Canada, to Lebanese parents who always spoke to me in Arabic. They spoke to me in Lebanese. And when they put me in a nursery at 1.5, I made friends who spoke French and English. And all of a sudden I thought, I don't want to speak Arabic anymore. I have friends, they're my age, they're my size, and, I relate to them. And when my parents decided to go back to Lebanon for good, I was 5, and that was my first rebellion. I was so upset that they uprooted me from my friends and everything I knew. I just decided I'm not going to speak Arabic. So my mom would say, your grandma doesn't understand French and English. You speak تحكي عربي. احكي مع ستك عربي. And I said to her, I don't like this language. I don't want to speak it. 6 months later at school, I'm in Loise. And, back then, kids spoke Lebanese in class and in school. They didn't speak French, English, and Arabic all mixed up together. And so I didn't make friends. For 6 months, I didn't make friends. And then I thought, okay, maybe I should just kind of maybe start speaking. So that's for the small little background story. And I was obsessed, fascinated by hieroglyphs and ancient scripts and the pharaohs and the Phoenicians and the Phoenician alphabet. So I was interested in scripts and symbolism and everything, but Arabic, I had to learn to, as they say in The Little Prince, apprivoiser, basically. And that's where I was trying to find the word in English, and it was a bit hard. Tame, adapt, befriend, adopt Arabic, and, make my own version of an Arabic that resembles me and resembles the world I live in. And growing up, going through school, I was terrible in Arabic. I could not write Arabic to save my life, and I probably still can't, but I can draw letters now. So moving on, Act 2 was in university, and I discovered in Arabic that I found more interesting and more fascinating, with fascinating teachers and professors like Samir Sayer, like Layla, and I just, discovered Arabic through a different window, a different perspective of symbols and icons tying back to hieroglyphs and Phoenician alphabet that I felt a connection to. And just as a disclaimer, I could not relate to Arabic as a formal language. I could not write Arabic, but I spoke fluently Lebanese, and I have no problem with Lebanese because I felt very attached to my mother tongue, my upbringing, and everyone around me. So it's not a... And so through university, I just kept thinking about what does it mean to be Lebanese? I'm not Canadian. I was born in Canada, but just the fact that I was there for those first 5 years of my life made me speak French and English and feel at home in those languages, and also made me realize that there was another world that I also felt like I belonged to. So I kept wondering, so what does it mean? What could Lebanese look like, graphically, typographically speaking? And that was my final year project, and I will show you a few images. So I spent a whole month camped out on Corniche al-Manara. I was there from 3 o'clock in the morning until the next day, 1 o'clock in the morning. And the only reason I was not there between 1 and 3 was otherwise my dad would have just completely denied my existence. It was not an option. But I really literally camped out there, made friends with the beggars and the fishermen and everyone. I observed everyone, sketched everyone. And then I just harassed people with questions, people from all walks of life. I split the Corniche into this kind of almost infographic kind of color coding. And so you had the sea, you had the side where the fishermen were sitting just along the shore. It's not really a shore. Then you had the sidewalk, you had the railing, and then you had the rest of it. And so I split people up into different age groups and used the available typefaces at the time. Guys, you have no idea how lucky you are. We had really very little to work with, and we had Cork Express with a dongle to fight to fight with. So it was really a mission impossible to actually make these texts sit together. And this is what I wanted to show. I wanted to show that when we speak, there's always there. It's not, we don't speak in just Arabic words and Arabic letters and Arabic sounds. But when you hear it, when you listen to it, it actually sounds quite smooth and seamless. But it's not seamless when you look at it. It's really painful to the eyes. And so these were, some analyses of the sentences, the paragraphs, the words. What I found really fascinating was words that if you're not reading this, you hear it and you think, oh, they just said an Arabic word. They just continued speaking, but actually television, the V and the O don't exist in Arabic. So these were just a few snippets. There's a lot more, but I will not bore you with that. So that was my first kind of, peace treaty with Arabic, my first attempt. As I graduated, I set out a little bit to work on how can I make an Arabic that I could call my own, that I could relate to, that resembled the world I lived in. And so I worked in Lebanon, and then moved to Dubai. And when I reached Dubai, I started working at Lara Associates in the beginning. And just to describe to you a little bit the scenario. So I'm, in their eyes, Lebanese graphic designer. So I speak, read, and write Arabic, obviously. So obviously, I can design Arabic logotypes, right? Not really. And that was really hard to explain to them because, it was quite, obviously you couldn't, you're a graphic designer, you can draw. But it took a bit of an education to explain to people that, logotypes, type design is something you study. If you're a good graphic designer, does not mean you can be a type designer automatically. And so in the beginning, I worked with Professor Sayer to create those word marks because I could not do them on my own. This is a major holding group in Dubai, a big holding group, and we designed the first initial identity, and it was based on Samir's sketches. So at the time, Samir would send me faxes with his sketches. They were faxes with letters in Arabic, like Azizati Lara, blah, 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 blah. And it was just, I was so happy to receive them. I have them all saved. And so I would take his sketches, put them against the Latin type that I'm using, and then, try to match the heights, the thicknesses, the strokes, and come up with a type system. Not a typeface, but a type system. And this is one of those examples. It was a big group, and they had lots of sub brands, and it was a monolithic branding exercise. So everything was in the same style. And just for a small note, you probably don't see the grid lines really well, but the exercise of spacing Arabic is very important. And I learned so much just from these few projects of how do you create balance and harmony and not just stretch between letters randomly, because it looks horrible when you do. And so after a few years at Landor, I decided I really needed to learn how to design type. And I really wanted to continue digging into how do I adopt this Arabic and make it my own. And so I went to Atelier National de Recherche Typographique and dug into, I wanted to make a Helvetica, but I started with Nasr and started analyzing Nasr and started looking into the structure of Nasr and the skeleton and how do you dress it up afterwards once you've stripped it from the calligraphic strokes. In the process of doing this research, I found a little bit what I liked and what I related to more. Of course, this is beautiful. But I was always one for minimalism and really very, very abstracted visual style. And so I discovered really beautiful Hijazi manuscripts, beautiful Kufi, early Kufi, Eastern Kufis, lots of different styles of Kufi. And a whole love story began with the magnificence of the Arabic script and how much variation and how much richness we have, which we should be really very proud of, and we should delve into so much more than we've done in the past. Thank you. So I started, breaking it down because that's what I do always to kind of really understand something. I break it down to its smallest pieces and strip it bare. So I started analyzing and comparing Arabic and English. So obviously they start from different directions. And then you have different writing styles. And if we're going to adapt Arabic to English, we need to kind of really understand English to Arabic, both ways, we need to understand how each one of them is written and the kind of tools we write with. So the broad nib pen and the reed, and they're kind of more or less, you can still write with the Arabic with the broad nib pen too. So you have the classic writing, you have the mannerist writing, which is, translation and rotation, and this is probably closest to our cursive styles. But in Kufis, you can actually, get something very close to classic writing. And then, of course, the story of serifs and whether they belong to Arabic or not. And I'm happy to confirm that they do, and there are quite a few examples in calligraphic Arabic that have serifs. And also, if we compare, we don't have capitals, of course, and which means that when you're trying to create word marks that match, you really need to compensate for that patchy gray that you get with the Arabic. And then X height, Arabic does not have one X height. It has at least 3, if not more. And so that also creates a different density of ink on the page and on the line. This is a very dear project to my heart. So comparing, I spent years, probably the past 25 years, listening to Professor Sayer talking to me about his love of Arabic and the Arabic script, and reading to me what he's written about it. And there was a beautiful text that he had written, and I don't know it by heart, but I know by heart those comparisons that he kept repeating to me. One of the things that we make a mistake with when we're designing Arabic to match English is that we don't understand that the beauty and harmony and balance and proportion in Arabic comes from contrast. It does not come from the same kind of rhythm that you have in Latin typography, and I will illustrate now. So if I were to just, over this text, draw vertical and horizontal lines over both types, both blocks of text, you get this. And you can see the difference in texture between Arabic and English, and you can see so much more verticals in English. On the other hand, if you trace the diagonal lines, you'll see there's a lot more of them in Arabic. And then the curves. And that came as a surprise to me, because I thought I'll see more of them in Arabic. But as you can see, there's just less repetition in Arabic. There's a lot more contrast, and it's almost like it's a richer kit of parts that comes together into a different kind of harmony and balance than with Latin. And then he compares sizes. So in Arabic, you have really small letters and then very big letters. And so I had fun with that one. And, it almost looks like bubbles, and it looks like it has a life of its own. And then he spoke about height of letters and the contrast between the smallest letter and the tallest letter. And again, it's almost like music notes on the left. And then the width, the contrast in width between an alif and a saud, which is the widest letter in Arabic. It shows a little bit less here, but you almost see that the letters almost connect and overlap so much. But there's definitely much wider blocks in Arabic. And so, having compared all those aspects of Arabic, I happened to be still working with Landor as a freelancer, and did a lot of their type adaptations, logotype adaptations. And just for the small anecdote, they did not really give much attention to that. They thought, it's just a sign, because in the UAE, you have to have Arabic and English on a storefront, and the Arabic has to be the same size. Years later, I discovered that if you have a big out of home, there has to be Arabic words, even if the logo of the brand is a few letters in English. You have to put a headline in Arabic, otherwise it won't pass by municipality. So Altair Group at the time was just giving them to the signage maker, just making adaptations, and they were painful to the eyes. And so I said to them, please give them to me. I will just it will be just a typographic exercise for me. I'll have fun. I don't care if you pay me. I just want to do them. And so I did quite a lot of them with them. And I wanted to share this one because I discovered with Professor Sayer that there's an ampersand in Arabic, which is the wow. But there is a typographic symbol, which looks like the ampersand. And so this is what I gave the client, but they thought it was a mistake. And they're Arabs. They thought it was a mistake and they replaced it. So unfortunately, they decided to go for ampersand in English. This was a really fun one, and it's a bit challenging. You know, in the beginning, I thought, what am I going to do with something so condensed? What am I going to do with the Arabic? And it was fun to work with that one because you discover how flexible the Arabic script is and how much room for play you have, while still sticking to the tone of voice of the brand you're working with or the typeface you're working with. It's not about making it look more Arabic. It's about making it look true to what it is and picking the right starting point. And so I had a lot of fun with that CAF and tested quite a few outputs. And this was really quite a few years after Landor and ANRT and all of that. I never would have thought I'd be able to design something that matches such a classical style of serif typeface in English. But yeah, so that was my attempt. Typeface adaptations. I'm going to share Fresco, which started with Huda and the typographic matchmaking, the first typographic matchmaking project. I had the honor of being paired with Fred Smyers, who was a type designer I've always admired enormously. And so I started, this was really my first project after I came back from ANRT. And so I was a bit nervous. I was completely in awe of the character. And so we tried to figure out a way of working together. And I asked him, so if you were to describe Fresco, how can you, what's the guiding concept, principle? And he said, let's just say I wrote it with a blunt, broad-nibbed pen. I thought, okay. So, and then I remembered, that Maghribi is written with not, the pen is not flat. The nib is not flat. It's actually rounded. So it's a bit blunt, kind of. So I thought this kind of lent itself well to the contrast was not so extreme between vertical and horizontal. So I looked into all different forms of Maghribi. I looked at, as you can see here, this is the one on the far right is the Maghribi nib. And then I looked at Eastern Kufi a little bit for the structure also, and the very short descenders under the baseline. I looked at Eastern Kufi also for the serifs, and the geometric Kufi for this, basically for that very exaggerated almost X height and a very short ascenders. And I went through this whole nerdy exercise of all those manuscripts I just showed you, picking out all the letters from every manuscript and painstakingly putting them into a document to share with Fred. But also explain to him all those different varieties of forms that we could do for those letters. And out of that came fresco, the serif form of fresco. This is the full character set. We eventually developed, actually I worked on that on my own, sans serif condensed version. And then we worked on this for the Doha Film Institute, customized version of the serif font. My other big typographic exercise was with the company that I worked with for the past 6 years, and I'm sure you can go online and find all the work that's been done. I'm not allowed to share it for all the confidentiality reasons, but this was a long, big, very interesting ride, and I'm very proud of the work that I got to do there. And I think it continues the whole process and the whole journey of what I had, set out to do with Arabic, and making it resemble the world we live in right now. Last chapter, and this is the last chapter, the final chapter, modular alphabets. This idea of a kit of parts, this system, almost like a formula and pieces, ingredients, and you put them together based on a system. I think I repeated myself, sorry. Excuse my Arabic. So I think I can explain it better with the visuals. So modular Arabic alphabet started with Tabati, a children's book written by Nadine Touma from Dar Umbuz. And I was initially asked to illustrate the book. And the brief was, Bauhaus and, basic colors. Basic, what's the word? Forgot. Primary colors, yes. And, basic, simple geometric shapes. And so that was these were the some of the illustrations. And while I was making the illustrations, I was thinking, what am I going to do with the font? Because what kind of font is going to go with that? And so I thought, well, how about I apply the same rule and the same formula of cutting out pieces of wood and stamping them and making some Arabic out of it. And let's see, because my son happened to be 3 years old around that time, let's see if he can read it. He was just starting to learn how to read, and I was just blown away because he could actually read those letters. And so I just, again, set out comparing, analyzing, as I always do. Start with the manuscript, start with the old references, and create those abstractions of those letters. So, and then this is just a simple little exercise of this kit of parts and how you write with it. So that was the first version of the modular Arabic alphabet, and it was used for this book. A few years later, for Jamil Prize, I made some improvements and corrections on it, and that was the version that was used for the Jamil Prize exhibition. And also, again, using a text from Samir Sayegh, Alam al-Ashkal. And these are a few of the letters up front. Golden ratio alphabet. This was commissioned from the Graphic Design which is a publishing house / design organization, and they invited me to take part in this graphic design and mathematics publication. And the golden ratio was the theme. So I thought, okay, so golden ratio, start from a square, draw a rectangle, trace the diagonal, and you've got your stroke. You've got your line stroke. Then make a bigger golden ratio rectangle with vertical and horizontal, and then inscribe your letters in there. And so these were a few of the trials and tests. I discovered with delight that the kaf looks like a lowercase g in in early Hijazi manuscripts, and funnily enough, in the Gulf, Kaf is a G. They pronounce it G. So, nice connection. And so that was the final alphabet, and this is the book. And a few years later, I was invited to take part in the Sharjah Calligraphy Biennale, and I think it was about ta'aruf or something like this, about getting to know each other, and so I thought, okay, how about I just make these letters standing upright, and if you read it one way, it says ana, and the other way, it says anta, and the noon is the center of it. Woodblock Kufi brings me back to my, some of my favorite manuscripts, and just abstracting those again. I was very happy to be able to do a laser woodblock cut out of it, and it was one of my New Year's cards a few years afterwards. Striated, as it says, it's just really basically just 5 lines at 3 different angles, vertical, horizontal, and 45 degrees. And that's it. That's all you needed to make a whole alphabet. And I leave you with this last fun little piece that I did just before I joined Apple. It was for an online greeting cards platform called Bilbarid. And I designed this like seven different variations of this brand mark with these different, thicknesses of lines and everything. And that's it. So since